Hi everybody. For the rest of this chapter, we're going to be talking about the four major groups of plants that have evolved to live on land. Remember that all plants started off in the ocean from an ancestor that was similar to green algae. The first plants to evolve to live on the land were these guys right here. These are the mosses and the other non-vascular plants, which is going to be our focus today. Now, they're not very good at surviving on land, which is why you always find moss in very, very damp areas. Throughout time, though, plants eventually evolved the first adaptation to survive on land, which is vascular tissue. The second group of plants are ferns, had the adaptation of vascular tissue, which allowed them to grow taller than the mosses. However, they still need to be near water in order to reproduce, because you need the sperm cells to be able to swim to the egg cells. So the next major adaptation that plants evolved were seeds and pollen that allow them to reproduce far away from a source of water. Gymnosperms are the first plants that we see that have reproduction with both seeds and pollen. However, they rely on wind to carry seeds and pollen, but our final and our most advanced group of plants are these groups right here called angiosperms, and they use flowers and fruits as their major adaptations to help them with the reproductive process. Again, throughout the chapter, we're going to be talking about the mosses, the ferns, the gymnosperms, and angiosperms, but today we're going to be focused on these mosses right here. So moss is a group of plants that's considered non-vascular. That's because they don't have vascular tissue. If you recall, vascular tissue is a type of tissue that transports water and nutrients throughout the body of the plant. Because moss don't have them, they always have to stay very, very small. They have no way of transporting water upwards against the force of gravity. This also means that they can only survive in very, very damp areas. You see, in most other plants, water can only enter the plant through the roots and exit the plant through the leaves. One of the reasons is because they have this waxy cuticle on the top surface of the leaf to hold in a lot of that water. But mosses can absorb water through any surface. Their leaf-like parts lack this waxy cuticle so that water can be absorbed very, very rapidly. However, if water can be absorbed very, very rapidly, water could be lost very, very, very rapidly. So water gets evaporated from moss, and moss dries out much faster than other vascular plants. Also, because they lack vascular tissue, you cannot say that moss has true root stems and leaves. When you look at the reproduction of mosses, it's also very, very strange. In our last lesson, I introduced you some terms called gametophyte and sporophyte, which are the two generations of the plant's life cycle. In mosses, the gametophyte stage, the stage that reproduces with sperm cells and egg cells, is the dominant stage. So this green clump that we see right here, that's all gametophyte tissue, or the gametophyte generation of the moss. So this is all tissue that's designed to produce sperm cells and egg cells. The moss needs to be near water, not only to prevent from drying out, but because the sperm cells need to be able to swim over to the egg cells. Once the sperm cell fertilizes the egg cell, though, it forms this thin stalk right here. And that thin stalk is the sporophyte generation of the moss life cycle. And at the top of this thin stalk, you have this capsule right here, and that capsule is filled with millions of teeny tiny spores. Right? Once that capsule dries out, it bursts open and releases spores, and those spores, like a seed, will grow into the new gametophyte generation. In this final slide here, we have the complete life cycle of the moss. Right? If we start here with the spores, we'll see that those spores will germinate just like a seed, and they'll grow into a new gametophyte. The gametophytes have separate genders, so this one would be a male gametophyte because it's producing sperm cells at the very, very top. This next gametophyte right here would be a female gametophyte because it's producing an egg cell at the top. The only way that the sperm cells can travel over to the egg cells is if there's water present. Again, moss can only survive near water. Once that sperm cell swims over to the egg cell, that egg cell becomes fertilized and grows into this long stalk. At the tip of that stalk, you have this capsule that releases many more spores, and the cycle repeats itself. Alright guys, that's everything for today's lesson. Thank you.